There've been a lot of allegations on social media and elsewhere that I am funded by somebody else. I'm not. I'm funded entirely by me. 20 years ago, I decided I wanted to get involved in politics, and I tried to sort of work out what that meant. And I found out about a particular political event that was going on that was being run by the Conservative Party in the area that I was living at the time. And when I tried to buy tickets, I was told I had to join the Conservative Party. So taking the line of least resistance, I went online and joined the National Party, and they gave me a little card and then lots of begging letters asking for money and that sort of thing, to which I didn't respond. And I went back to the local constituency association and asked to buy some tickets. And they said, well, you're not a member of the local Conservative Association. I said, well, look, hang on. You said I had to be a member of the Conservative Party. And that was that. 5 years later, they let me go to the event. I went to a whole series of events. 5 years later, I wanted to go to the count at the 2010 general election. The local agent said, oh, you want to go to the count. And he said, you'll have to join the local association in order to do that. So I've always been very kind of semi-detached. I've worked only with people in the Conservative Party who I met, so for example, who were candidates for running for council, parish council, borough council, county council, who I got to know and I believed in that they were trying to do public service. And so I would support those people on occasion. But by 2010 and beyond that, I was really working on national issues most of the time. I dipped back in 2015 to local because in the villages that I lived in, there were 3 villages adjacent to each other, I knew all the candidates, and so there were, I think it was 8 candidates for borough council, so I worked with them, and there were a bunch of parish councillors as well, which is largely non-political, so I supported those guys as well. As a consequence of that, I'd like to tell you a story. It's called the Kilchoman story. This is a rather nice bottle of Scotch whisky. After that campaign in 2015, I was given this bottle, as were a bunch of other people, and it sat on my shelf. There was a nice little gift, and was it 50 quid, maybe 30 quid? I don't know. Sat on my sort of bookshelf thing, and a friend of mine came over from another country. We'd grown up together, and then he'd moved abroad later on. We hadn't seen each other for probably, 20 years or something like that. And, we sat down one night to catch up, and we had a fairly good go at it. You can see that was all that was left, tiny bit at the bottom there. I went to a political event, I think it was probably about 2020, and the local Conservative Association in Guildford were running this event, and I'd already run as an independent. I wasn't involved with the Conservative Party at all, because I wanted to ask our MP, Angela Richardson, about the challenges for women who wanted to be in politics, because I'd met somebody who wanted to have that question answered.
So you've got to be organised, but women are organised, and we're very good at managing things. So I just sorted my life out and made myself very busy, and you have to have a supportive partner. I couldn't do this without the support of Jeremy. He's absolutely fantastic.
And there was also another reason that I went along, and the reason was because a few weeks prior to that, I'd seen this bottle in the box, in the blue box, and I was thinking about ethical issues. And I don't know why, but I just went on eBay to see what the value of this thing was. And I hadn't noticed it says inaugural release. So it's like with wine, you get a first pressing, I think. So it's actually quite a special bottle of Scotch. And I looked on eBay, and the price of it was £2,000. And I thought back to when I was given that, and I thought, well, I shouldn't have accepted that, and I wouldn't have if I'd have known. So the reason I went along to that event was I went and bought a bottle of Kilchoman of the value I thought I was being given. And I presented it to the guy who was running that event at his home and said, perhaps you could put that back into the Conservative Party. So, ethics are important to me. That story, if our MP, Angela Richardson, watches it, may bring a wry smile, because I was going to explain it to her on the day, but she'd left. So I didn't get a chance to. I just thought you might find that amusing, that my friend and I managed to sink £2,000 worth of Scotch in one evening, because we didn't know what it was worth.